Villages, 1370 AM.
All right, kids, gather around the radio. Time for Jim George, professor of the universe, to answer our questions. If you have something you'd like to ask Jim, the number to call is 352-622-9622. Good morning, Jim. How you doing?
Good morning. Thank you. Okay, anything new in the news we should know about? We talk about 5G all the time.
Yeah.
And 5G is not going to go away anytime soon. But isn't something happening with the RTL thing, some kind of dog thing or something coming up?
What is RTL?
The equestrian ranch out at the new equestrian center.
I don't know.
RTL is Roberts.
Oh my gosh! Well, that's right. They're supposed to be constructing it and everything.
Well, there's supposed to be something going on this week.
Oh, really? See,
oh my!
Maybe you know something.
A big dog show or something.
I don't have it.
Oh. It's not just limited to...
Well, you're in the world of dogs with your wife. So
oh boy!
Well, that sounded bad. I mean, your wife is in the world of dogs. Is what I should have said.
I'm in the world of hurt.
But does she participate in those dog shows?
She likes to attend them, but no, she usually uses handlers because a handler knows how to poise the dog and all that kind of stuff, and she doesn't want to get involved in all that.
Oh gosh, I wouldn't
she
even.
Loves to attend.
I love dogs, but I don't think I would know how to poise a dog either.
Yeah, you got to make them face a certain direction, and
am I saying the right word? Poise?
I don't know. Pose.
Oh, pose. Okay.
Pose the dog. I don't know. But anyway, she knows all that stuff, but she lets handlers do it.
Does technology have a place in that world? I mean,
well, every dog, apparently Marion County has passed a law, and they were getting off the subject, that every dog has to be either tattooed or seeded. Seeded is the little kernel of rice that goes up under their skin.
Okay.
That is a reader that tells you all the information, who's the dog owner, how old the dog is, when it was born, everything. So if a dog gets lost, any vet can scan the dog and tell you everything you want to know about the dog.
So that chip that they put in there.
Thing, the name for it, but
it looks like a piece of rice.
Looks like a piece of rice. And
I'd like to see it. Have you seen it?
It looks, and it's like a big syringe. The opening is maybe, 1/8 of an opening, and you put the chip in there, and then you just go right under the skin. You're not going into the meat. You're not going.
And it's something reads. There's a device that reads it.
Yes. So any scanner, and there was even a grocery store scanner, can scan it and read it.
Is that the future of us? Like, will people be getting them?
Well, that's what they say, but I'm hoping.
You're a Bible expert.
I'm going beside.
Wait a minute. This fits into something they were talking about in Revelations.
Yep, they all want you to be, to have the mark of the beast, to have it. But but there are people who do it now. I think I told you last year.
Go back to the beast part. I want to hear that. What does that mean?
There was a guy who actually had the chips for people.
A beast?
No, it was the chips for people to have all their information, all their medical, everything. And, it's updated.
Oh, I see.
In other words, you can go into a doctor, let's assume you got diabetes, and you already have a chip. He would just reprogram the chip to say that you're a diabetic. So if they find you on the side of the street, passed out, you may not be drunk, you may just be in a diabetic coma.
So they can reprogram that chip?
They can.
What keeps the chip from floating through your blood?
It's just under the skin. It's not in the blood.
So you could pop it out if you scratched it hard enough.
If you could cut it out, yep. Just the surface. Be a little bump. You just take it out, yeah. The whole idea is just for identification.
So I would do that. I don't see why that would be.
So the military might be the first to start because they have dog tags.
Yeah.
They may just start doing it. So when you go into the
that makes sense,
commissary, if you go into a certain building, it would read that, Larry's in the building.
Larry's in the building. Get the hot dogs ready.
Larry has left the building. Yeah.
So that would replace your thumbprint on like your phones and stuff like that. If you had the chip, you just scan it, and
that's it.
Was no more face recognition or anything.
Banks might start requiring it soon. You never can tell. Depends how fast it takes off, but there's a real rebellion against it. People don't want it.
Yeah, no, I can understand why.
So why don't they want it? Because of the Bible thing?
Well, because of the Bible thing, and it's basically too intrusive, too much a burden on you to put your information right out there.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, even the scanner at Publix can read it, so they could scan it and say, "Oh, you, Mr. George, thank you for coming in."
But how easy would it be for somebody to take somebody else's chip?
You'd have to cut it out
Well,
and put it in.
bad guys have no problem cutting other people.
No, killing them and then
They could
taking
do
out
it.
your chip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
take the
throwing
chip.
you in the dirt.
This is me now. I'm getting on that
You know,
plane.
and then they might start with the homeless too. They might say, okay, if you want to continue with your subsidies as far as food subsidies or whatever, then you have to get chipped. That way we know that you didn't go to Interfaith this morning and you're back at Trinity Catholic in the afternoon trying to get more food or whatever. Because some people might want to sell that for money for drugs, instead of having the food for themselves. So the government's is pushing it. They're pushing it really hard.
Do you know one thing in the news this
Wow.
week that is technological in nature? Is the president is asking the people like yourself who understand technology to come up with an idea so they can quicker identify like social sites, I guess, that are hate-filled. People are writing hateful things about other people just because they don't like their color or their religion or whatever.
Yeah, that's not so much technology as a guy has too much time on his hands. I don't think I look at a site a day. I mean, I don't go to sites. I may receive emails and such, but if I want to buy a part, I may type in, a part number, or does anybody know the part number to this, and I get some responses. But as far as that, I don't have any time. So it's really the people that are home all the time and kids or such that are really good at that. They know the sites to go to, all the blogs. I don't blog, I don't Twitter, I don't tweet, I don't do any of that stuff. I don't have time.
You know who the biggest, the most lucky thing that ever happened to Twitter was Donald Trump. Right? Once he signed up with that, everybody's now wanting to read his tweets, even if they don't like him. They subscribe to Twitter just to read his tweets,
Really.
right?
You see, I wouldn't do that.
Well, you don't need to really, because it's in the news. I mean, every
it's-
tweet
right,
that the
right.
president puts out there gets
Yeah,
reported.
CNN's going to, tell you all about it. They might contort it a little bit, but they're going to tell you all about it.
How do you determine what trade shows you go to?
Basically, the timing. Like, for instance, I was invited to a trade show in Arizona, and it was 3 days after one that I need to go to.
Oh.
So I told them, there's no way I can be gone for, let's say, 3 or 4 days, come back, and then 2 or 3 days later leave again.
Oh, okay.
But next year, if they would do a different timing, I'd like to go. And this trade show that they want me to go to is really, I've been to it before. They pay your airfare, they pay your hotel food, your hotel stay. They pay for everything because they need you there, because they have vendors there that are trying to get more eyes to look at their product.
Oh.
So the vendors may pay $5,000 for a booth, and maybe $1,000 of that set aside. So if there's 100 booths, then they have a $10,000 set aside for airfare and everything else for us guys. But it's just 3 days after I get back from New Orleans, so it's just not convenient for me to do it. That's just not convenient.
You see the picture I have up there?
I do.
That's a live shot of, you know what that is?
Oh, I do know what that is.
Is that Abbey Road?
That's the crossing
Yeah.
at Abbey Road in London that
Yeah.
you went to.
Yeah.
Whoa, that bus going to hit that
Look
car.
at all those
Yeah.
people.
I don't know how you drive on the wrong side of the road. Okay, but anyway, today, was it yesterday or today, is the 50th anniversary of that photo that they took for that album cover.
Oh, I'm so glad I was.
Look how busy that is. How do you even get that?
And people are waiting to cross the street
To get a
and take
picture.
their picture.
Right.
And that's crazy. And we have plenty of those pictures of us.
Look, they're walking, somebody's taking their picture, right?
That's what it is. They're taking their picture.
Wow.
I visited.
Look at this girl, she's looking at her picture. Oh, I got a picture.
As she crosses that street, she might get hit by a
Unbelievable.
car.
The studio that you gave us a picture of is right here.
there, yeah.
I think the camera is actually on the fence post of that studio.
Yep, it's right across the street from that.
That's the famous
Wow.
one.
And you see that there's a statue or something in the center.
What is that a statue of?
I have a closer picture, but it's almost like a pyramid, or like like the in Paris, the lead.
The Eiffel Tower? Oh, okay.
It's one of those kind of spears. You can zoom in, right?
No, I
Why
don't think
are
this
the
site lets you zoom.
roads,
Oh, yeah, you can zoom in.
Yeah,
on an angle like that?
See?
Like corrugated.
yeah, there it is.
Oh, that's how they do it in London, right?
Yeah, they're not straight. The lines for the road are.
Yeah. Well, when you're on the wrong side, you're on the wrong side.
So
you know?
there are old people walking the famous
They are
crosswalk.
taking.
He's looking at.
So you see, you went there and you didn't think this was a big deal because you're not a Beatles fan,
Right,
correct?
right.
Okay, to me that is a big deal.
Yeah.
I would go there and say, "This is cool, Robin. Take my picture."
Oh, wow.
It's great.
I'd be one of those nuts.
And then you'd post it
Wow.
in here somewhere.
I would do,
Or
sure.
online, you know.
Sure, why not?
I visited
Where's your picture?
Abbey Road.
In fact, I have a sign in our office that says Abbey Road.
Oh, wow.
I'm not in there as much as the sign is. The sign's in there all the time. I go in there to basically get my cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got to homestead this.
So the technology. There was a story the other day about somebody who is saying, in fact, there was a few companies saying that before the end of the year or whatever it was, we were going to start to commonly see autonomous flying cars. Autonomous. You just get in, it flies itself.
No, thank you. Yeah. No, I was actually visiting a general contractor yesterday, and he said the same thing. He said, I got an email sent to me. A company wants to sell me these cars, and then I would program them. And then in developments, if you wanted to go shopping and you didn't want to use your car, you didn't want to, maybe you're an older person, didn't want to drive, the car would pick you up, take you to Publix, drop you off, and then you call again, and the car would come by and pick you up, and it's a flying car. It says the wings flat come up, and the car can drive down the road, or the car can fly, either one.
And they asked you to do that.
Well, he was talking to me about what do you think, and I said, well, cars are expensive to begin with. What does an autonomous car cost? He
Right.
said, well, he couldn't remember off the bat, but it was like $100,000.
Wow.
But, and it's only a two-seater. I mean, two people in the back and one person in the front. Just a small
Oh,
car.
gee.
So what would you do if you had a computer program that you paid a lot of money for, but it wasn't working? What would you do? How would you get it to work?
I'd probably call the manufacturer up and say, what's wrong with this?
What's wrong with it?
Because, just because it worked on one computer doesn't mean it's going to work on you. You have all kind of firewalls. You have everything else. And a lot of times they'll say, have you turned this off? Have you turned that off? Have you activated this? Have you gone online and signed in with your software? So there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And we do that. I mean, we buy really expensive software to make it work. I have a software developer, and he makes as much money as I do, and he just sits in the office all day typing.
Oh, my God.
One of the questions
Wow.
that I would have if I was buying a new computer is this: will this do what I needed to do? And then, of course, the question from the salesperson will be, what do you need it to do? Mm-hmm. And in my case, it's a little bit more like I don't just do the internet. We do music production,
Right.
At a bare bones level, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we do, of course, the children's books, and
Yeah.
that's about it. So how would I ask that question? Would I say how many gigabytes, or what do you ask, actually?
Well, a lot of times you want to leave more than one program open, or do you close all the programs when
More than one, have to. Yeah.
Yeah. So you need something that has a lot of RAM.
A lot of RAM.
Yeah. Random access memory.
Now, what is a good number?
I
if you
would
say a lot of RAM, they're going to say
minimum 10 gig, probably in your case 20 gig of RAM.
20 gig of RAM.
Because
okay.
you have an Apple, right?
I do. I have a Mac, mini Mac.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but it's kind of old, so I think that's the problem too. It's old.
Yeah. If you were to buy a new one, you want as much random access memory as you can get. That allows you to access many programs at the same time, and it also allows you to work on many programs at the same time. In other words, like a copy and paste, where whatever you do in this program will automatically show up in that.
Oh,
so if
my
you were
gosh.
doing a drawing, let's assume you have one of those pads where you drew, and then you could say, send it here, send it here, send it here, and it would populate that program. Then you could look at it, and one you might want to color in, one you might want to leave black and white, one you might want to change. In other words, you might want a static image, but on the other one you want a fluid image where it's actually moving. But you wanted to save the image. You just drew the image. You want to save it, and that could be a facial feature or whatever. Because you might sit down on a rainy day and maybe draw the same face 10 times, one smiling, one frowning, one turning left, one turning right. So then you would have it, and it's already been created instead of the day you want it, having to sit down and force yourself to make an image. And of course, with a lot of AI stuff out now, it would do it for you automatically. Once you drew the face, it would show you frowns. It would show you all these kind of things, and you would either save them or you wouldn't.
Oh my!
It would determine for you.
It's amazing what you can do,
Yeah,
right?
but software, yeah.
Now I've got issues at my home with my speed for my internet because I'm on CenturyLink,
Right.
and I think all we get is like 10.
Right.
And I keep calling up, and they keep telling me they don't have it in my area. But if you go to Highway 27, you've got like 100 of MBSs or something like that. How come they can't put it on my phone line?
Yeah, so once it comes into your area, it comes on twisted pair wire, and the wire is very, very small gauge wire. And the only way they can give you more speed, and I had this conversation yesterday with a developer who wanted to know, could I come into his area? And he only has 1.5 meg of internet. That's all he has.
Oh my,
And of
poor
course,
guy.
If you have wireless, your wireless device is going to take up, let's say, 1/4 of a meg, so now you only have 1.25, and then your computer is going to take up like 1/4 of a meg just to operate, so now you only have 1 meg to go surf the internet or whatever. And he downloads plans and everything else, and he's saying, I need, so he's thinking about going to the satellite, going to HughesSat, which is something called Wild Blue Yonder, and downloading, because they will guarantee 5 meg. But you're speaking about, $300 a month.
Oh, my.
Just for internet, because you have a satellite delivery. And but they can fix that. They may not want to. You would have to convince them by talking to a manager to send a tech out and see how many spare wires are in your neighborhood. Coming off of your POP, your point of presence.
Oh,
So
that's what my father.
see, when it leaves your house, it goes out to the street, and that's a point of presence. That's where the wire is, and then that goes down the street to a little cabinet, a larger one, and that would be your neighborhood NOC, your network operations center. So all they would do is they would just bond those wires together. They'd twist 2 wires together, 3 wire, and when they have a fatter wire, they can deliver more internet. But right now, they don't have enough to do it.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
CenturyLink has a ton of internet. They just don't
Yeah.
have it on a wire that feeds you.
Because that's driving me nuts now.
Yeah,
I mean,
now
'cause
you
they
can-
got the
you can get it
TV
done.
and computer and
Yeah.
gosh.
Make friends with a telephone guy and tell him to fix it. Done.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will
This
do
is
that.
maybe simple for you.
Cookies and milk.
Is a dimmer switch usable on the newer lights?
Yes, the LED lights?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because actually there are lights when you buy them that will say dimmable. And if they don't say dimmable, then chances are they're not dimmable. But they make new dimmers now that are very smart, and they can dim a light that was not made to dim.
Oh my.
Because the way it works is the LED ones, even if you decrease the voltage, they almost like an automatic gain. They still want to put out the same amount of light until it hits a point where they just turn themselves off because it's too low. So this electronic device, I don't know exactly how it works, but it tricks the light and it dims.
Oh, that's pretty amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
Do you recommend that for Christmas tree lights to have them on dimmers to
No,
make
keep them
look
bright as possible.
different?
Say the same thing. Keep them.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Keep no.
Well, I was worried about fire and things because sometimes people have
But
them
they don't
on.
get hot, right? Those new ones.
The LED ones get just barely warm. They don't really get hot. What your problem is, and how many things you have plugged into the same cord. That's your problem.
Yeah, that's my problem. I have a lot of those, like the box. I've got like a 6-plugger thing, and
Yep.
then I push it into my light socket,
Yep.
and then I can.
Yeah, you overload.
So, in case you're wondering why Christmas is even on our mind, because we just finished a Christmas book. So
All right, good.
now that we're done, though, we can be back in August.
I'll be back in August.
That picture from London looked pretty nice, actually.
It did.
Hey, I
It
have a
was
question
really
about the Doppler effect.
The Doppler effect, okay?
Okay, so when you're flying through space at a high rate of speed, and you're sending a signal from like a radio wave, you're trying to call back to Earth, does the Doppler effect expand that signal because you're going so far, or compress it for those in front of you?
So a lot of that we have a terminology called telemetry. So Microdyne, that used to be in town here, was a leader in telemetry, and their only real competition was Scientific Atlanta out of Atlanta, Georgia. And so when you watched the space launch just the other day, and you saw the camera looking back at Earth, and you saw the stages coming loose and next stage coming on, all that sent back, not as video, but as telemetry, dots and dashes, almost like Morse code. And on the other end, it's received and put back into a picture form. And the biggest problem was there's a heat plume coming out of that engine, and that would disrupt any kind of signal. So Microdyne was the leader in creating the software that would correct that. And so when they sold their corporation, I mean, you could write a book on Microdyne, because what a fiasco that was. The only people that made out were the people that bought and sold. Microdyne had $20 million in cash in the bank, and had like 100 and some odd patents, and sold the whole company for $20 million. So the guy who got it didn't pay a dime for it. He got $20 million in cash in the bank.
Wow.
It was all done by the presidents and vice presidents. They got together and sold out all the stockholders, just sold them out. Yeah, that's and I was an insider, so I'm, as far as, knowing what was going on, I said, you guys are crazy. But it was a deal made in, behind the tables and under the tables. And,
that happened.
Yeah, it was terrible, but it happened. So that's the problem when you own a stock. I mean, if you own stock in Ford, if Ford decided tomorrow morning they didn't want to make a certain model and the stock crashed,
right.
You might be tempted to sell the stock because it's going down. Next month they come out with a brand new model, and now the price goes high and you just sold. So it's really hard to find out, do you want to keep the stock and write it out and see where it goes, or do you want to sell? So I don't buy stock. I used to buy stocks. Now I buy stock in me.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure.
Investing in yourself, of course.
Investing in myself. I know what I'm going to do. I have no idea what anybody else is going to do. Unless my wife is home, then she tells me what to do.
Does technology make it easier when you have to dig ditches and lay cable and put things underneath?
they have all new, diggers, you might say, for lack of backhoes, but they have vibra plows. It's basically a truck with a plow on the back. And it vibrates, and you put the conduit in it, or you put the fiber in it, and as you drive slowly, it just vibrates up and down and shoves that conduit right in the ground, any depth you want. Go down 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot.
That's great.
So along the highway, you'll see them they won't dig it, they'll just fiber plow it. Then when they have to cross the street, then of course they have to dig up a hole on one side and drill across the street.
Oh, underneath the asphalt and stuff?
Underneath the asphalt, and make sure they miss the sewer lines, and make sure they miss the water lines and everything. And then they pull back the conduit. And then when they pull back the conduit, because your drill goes over, the drill might be 4 inches. And then they might pull a 3-inch conduit back. So the hole's pretty big. And they use volcano ash. Then they mix it with water, and as the drill is going, it's spewing water and volcano ash, which makes a cavern.
Wow.
And then when they pull the conduit back, once that volcano ash dries, it's just dust again.
Really?
So they pull it back within a reasonable amount of time, and it just recollapses on itself, and you're done.
Oh, how amazing.
Ingenious.
Really amazing.
I love that.
Jim, if we would like to call you during the week, may we do that?
Yes.
Where would we call?
So 854-9795.
Well, enjoy your weekend.
I will.
Thank you for coming in here and doing this.
So I was asking Larry before you came in, anything going on this weekend we should know about? Any plays, any exhibits, any?
Nope, we don't really have anything. This is like a dry weekend.
Dry weekend.
Yeah.
I hope it is a dry weekend.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. The top Senate Republican Mitch McConnell says he's open to debate on more gun control, but he's not calling senators back from the August recess to do it.
McConnell says it'll have to wait until September, telling WHAS in Louisville the issue will lead the discussion when lawmakers